In 2006, comic writers Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson wrote a comic book meant to satirize corporate America, celebrity culture, and the comic book industry. This comic would be known as The Boys, about a group of vigilantes meant to go after superheroes, known as Supes, who abuse their power. And in 2019, The Boys received a TV show adaptation on Prime Video, and it spawned several spin offs, including a new one set to come out in 2026. But before the 2019 adaptation, there was a planned adaptation going as far back as 2008. The script was lost for many years, and was leaked onto Reddit when I made a public campaign to find it, by a Reddit user named Hardly Gay. I would like to investigate this script and what it had to offer for a film adaptation, but I'd like to point out the information of a potential cast to help paint a picture of what it would look like. Adam McKay, who was set to direct, favored Aaron Eckhart as Homelander. Eckhart's most famous role is Harvey Dent from The Dark Knight. Russell Crowe was favored to play Billy Butcher, known for Gladiator and LA Confidential. And Simon Pegg was favored to play Huey. In fact, Huey's comic design was partially inspired by Pegg's likeness. Beyond that, we aren't quite sure what a cast would look like, but now we can get into the script and what exactly it entails. The script begins with Tech Knight talking to his therapist, much like in issue 8 of The Boys. He talks about how he likes sexually violating people and inanimate objects by sticking his genitalia into any hole that he can find, whether it be on a human or an inanimate object. The introduction to Huey is the same as it is in the comics, with A-Train throwing an unnamed villain into the wall before running off, and in the process crushing Robin. Huey is then sedated by the medic while A-Train talks to the police about the situation, and Huey is later harassed by Vought a few days later. Billy Butcher is introduced as he talks to Raynor, but unlike in the comic, there is no sex in the script between them. Starlight is introduced in the script the same way in the comics, with Homelander, A-Train, and Black Noir sexually assaulting her. In the show, it was changed to only the Deep assaulting Starlight. Unlike in the show, the Legend is present, introduced in the same way in the script as he is in the comics. Mother's Milk is introduced in a different way compared to the comics. Mother's Milk was introduced in the comics as he's drinking coffee in his home, where he lives with his daughter. But the way he is introduced in the script is similar to how he is in the show, with him working in a nursing home rec room. The Frenchman and the female are introduced the same way as they are in the comics, with the Frenchman making a greeting to Butcher and Huey. In the middle of the script, Butcher, Mother's Milk, and Huey kill Tech Knight, almost similar to how they do in the comics, except Tech Knight does not have a hallucination where he saves the world while he's dying. Starlight and Huey's relationship was built up the same way it was in the comics, but one big difference is the way Homelander, A-Train, the Deep, Beastie, and Queen Maeve, as well as Black Noir, all die. The way they die in the script is when they all have a final showdown, and Starlight has a button that explodes the heads off of every member of the Seven. The movie ends with the Vought executives talking to people at a meeting. And at the end, they tease the introduction of the G-Men. That means the next villains would be the G-Men in the next script. But unfortunately, a second script does not appear to have been written. The script was alright. I'm pretty sure if they made it into a movie, it would have been a fine adaptation if you didn't read the comics. As the script had one major flaw, in my opinion. The script was finalized in 2009, but the comic ran from 2006 to 2012. And at the end of the comics, Black Noir is revealed to be Homelander's clone. Another thing that I noticed was the cast they wanted to be in the movie was also pretty great from the small trio that we do know about. Obviously, Simon Pegg would have been amazing, as Simon Pegg was intended to play Huey from the get-go, but unfortunately, he aged out before they could actually have him play in any type of live-action show. But it is true that Simon Pegg did play Huey in the Diabolical show. Russell Crowe as Butcher would have been very interesting, in my opinion. I think he could definitely play that type of character, but I do have a hard time picturing him physically as Butcher. Aaron Eckhart as Homelander would have been especially interesting, especially if you know what kind of characters he's well at playing at. And a perfect example of seeing how it could be is if you watch The Dark Knight. Harvey Dent's intensity could easily match with Homelander in the comics. That would have been the greatest, most comic accurate Homelander we could ever get. Not to say Anthony Starr doesn't play him well, but if we wanted comic accurate Homelander, Eckhart would be perfect. But unfortunately, that's where we have to end the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.